Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? All right, man. So it's officially over this decade of heavyweight boxing as far as big fights. Yeah, pretty much, man. It's end of an era. You know what I mean? And I started my channel, literally, or started doing videos on YouTube about 10 years ago, man. So I was literally here making videos about this whole era of the heavyweights. All right. Wait for a few y'all to get up in here, man. Just want to talk about the past decade, man, and where do we go from here? Salute to my man DB. What's up to my man James Dags? You know what I mean? Happy holidays to all you guys, man, that's about to get up in here. So I wrote down some fights, man, that I deem as memorable fights from the decade. Um, Going to be interesting to hear what you guys think. A lot of these fights we'll all agree on, but I had some under the radar fights that I thought there were some good brawls, man, that I think that are worth going back watching. People usually come back and they ask me questions about, hey man, which fight from this past decade or the last 10 years should I go and check out? You know what I mean? So some of these fights, like I said, you guys will remember. And some you probably like, man, I never seen that fight. Shout out to my man Stormy B, man. Salute. Happy holidays to you as well, bro. So I'll wait for a couple more minutes, man. Then I'm gonna just jump into this, man. But one thing I will say, and I actually got the shirt on right now, this Wilder Fury. But that's gonna open us up for the new era. You know what I mean? Going into this next decade of heavyweight boxing. So I think that's gonna be the first important fight of the new decade. You know what I mean? B&B Boxing, salute. Hogan, he says Fury Klitschko, the fight of the century. Yeah, as far as the style, yeah, that was fight of the century, right? But that I'll get to that. But wait till a few more people jump up in here, man. I see 18 people jumped up in here quick. You guys hit that thumbs up button, man. We're gonna talk about this. D Style Boxing was good, bro. He says I got a feeling Mr. Boxer Day was gonna make a running for D Style award in 2020 two times. Yeah, hey, if I win it again next year, D Style, that'll be my second time winning your channel of the year, man. But I appreciate you giving me that in 2017, man. I appreciate that, and I do think that Black Fight Fan TV Trill Boxing deserved it this year. There's a lot of people put into some work this year, man. It's hard, man. Hey, congrats to D Style for just picking winners out of these lists, man, because a lot of guys did good this year on their channels, and I'm talking what D Style talks about as far as like going back to the origin of YouTube uploaders, just like guys like this just talking. I ain't talking about guys going to fights or getting interviews, but guys just really doing commentary on boxing. A lot of guys are putting in a lot of work this year, man. I don't even want to start naming them because I'm going to forget somebody, but you guys know who you are, man. If I've been on your live streams or donating to your channel, you guys know who you are, man. But there's a plethora of talent out there, man. D Style says, Merry Christmas to you and yours. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that $2 holler, man. Ronald Finkley was good. All right, man, let me go ahead and cook because the cooking is done inside this house, man. We're at my brothers-in-law's house for Christmas. It's loud in there with their kids and my kids. It's like a zoo in there, man. So wanted to go live. You know how it is sometimes, man. You want to talk about boxing, you got to sneak away, man. So let me do this because I meant to do it yesterday. And another thing, speaking of D Style, go to his channel, man, and check out his yearly awards, the presentation, the visual, just his different award, like the Shembransky Award. If you guys don't know the history about Shembransky, just go to D Style Awards, man, and check out his award show, man. Entertaining. You know what I mean? All right, so let me get to this, man. Now, a lot of fights, right? And I had to, because I was freestyling, thinking of all these fights, man. But now I wrote a lot of these fights down, and I think these are all memorable for the decade for different reasons. Okay. Now I will say this. All right, let me go ahead because I'm gonna have to cross some of these fights out. All right, now I'll start with somebody brought this up and said it was fight of the century. Obviously, it wasn't fight of the century. Okay, Dago 619 was good, bro. Tony Boswell was what's up. Um, Now obviously it wasn't fight of the century, but I will say this. Let me go ahead and cross it out because I had it literally second on the list. All right. November 2015, that blew off the doors of the heavyweight division. All right. That's an important fight. That's going to be one of the most important fights of the decade. Fury versus Klitschko. It broke Klitschko's stronghold on the division. Him and his brother had their run from like that, like 04, 03-ish, 04-ish to about 2015. You know what I mean? So they had like that 10, 11 year run where they were just dominating, man. Yes, you had your, uh, Sultan and Bragamovs and those type of guys that held the title. Or I know Chris Bird held that IBF until about 2004. So there was some guys sprinkled in there. Then the WBA has that damn regular title. Then you had John Ruiz sprinkled in there. I mean, you had some guys sprinkled in there, okay? David Hay and Povetkin holding a WBA regular title. What's the big tall dude's name? Nikolai Valuev. But mainly it was the Klitschko's era, okay? Minus the guys holding minor WBA titles, all right? But 2015, then Wilder ended up beating Stavern that year. But 2015, man, we have to recognize that fight, man. Regardless of what you think of the action, that was one of the biggest fights of the decade as far as the result goes, because it broke the stranglehold of the Klitschko brothers. And since then and there, Klitschko has never been a title holder, and that was shit going on 5 years ago. In a couple weeks here, it's gonna be five years, 5 calendar years since that dude was champion. Okay, so the Klitschko era is long gone. Okay, so Klitschko Fury definitely one to remember. Okay, Fury Wilder 2018, another one to remember. Okay, now I'm not gonna go super in depth with all these fights, but I'm just gonna bring up certain fights that I think that are memorable for this decade, man. And Fury Wilder won December 2018. Definitely, Fury coming back um, from his long layoff. He had what, 3 training camps and 2 fights, Sefer Safiri, Pianata. So you have the training camp for Safiri, training camp for Pianata, then a training camp for Wilder. So that's 3 training camps, 2 comeback warm-up fights. And he was training like 8 to 12 months before he made his initial comeback. So that was another thing that got me kind of irritating hearing guys say, "Oh, he just jumped off the couch." No, he didn't just. No, Fury didn't just jump off the couch. He jumped off the couch to start training initially. Then he was going back and forth, training, not training, training, not training. You guys follow him on Instagram. Then Cali Enigma was good, bro. Mike Wilkins was good. Jay Sean, what a dude. The Fox Strikes was good. Robert Stewart, what's up? All right. So when people say that, man, that's a lie. That's a lie. Okay. Jumping off the couch is, okay, let's just say 2018, you start training in January, and then you take a fight in March as your first fight. That's jumping off the couch. Jumping off the couch is not training for a year, fight 2 warm-up fights with 2 training camps, then go into a fight with another, then go into the Wilder fight with your Wilder training camp, and then fight Wilder. Bullshit. And then what's so crazy is now I'm hearing, and I seen this, I was going to do a video about it. Mark Blake was good. I was going to do a video about it. Now Fury said he wants to come in heavier for the Wilder fight. So it's like, hold on here. So the fans want him to lose weight. He loses weight. Now he wants to gain back weight. Wow. Okay. It is what it is. Okay. So, but Wilder Fury, definitely one of the memorable fights of the decade. Okay. So right now I got Fury Klitschko, which the Fury Klitschko 2015 to me is number one. I'm not talking about the style of the fight. I'm talking about just the meaning and the significance of it. Okay. Fury Wilder 2018, AJ Klitschko, and I'm not going in order. I'm going to be hopping around from 2011, 2012, 2010. All right, so I'm not going in order. Okay, so I just wrote these fights down as they came to me. All right, AJ Klitschko, classic. Yeah, classic. AJ Klitschko was a classic. I don't give a damn if Klitschko was 60 years old. I don't care if he had a 13-year layoff. That fight was classic because remember, going into that fight, people really didn't know who's going to win that fight. Some people were picking AJ. Some people, now it's easy to say, oh yeah, AJ is going to win, but nah, no. See, I remember these things in real time. That was a kind of, we really didn't know because AJ was really yes, he had the fight that I'm another fight that I'm gonna get to, which I thought was his toughest fight, but going into the fight with Klitschko, people really didn't know, man, what they were really seeing with Anthony Joshua, and we knew that Klitschko was going to test him at the very least. And for that man to get off the canvas like that and to finish that fight, because Timothy Moten was good, bro. Talking about, y'all say what's up to Timothy Moten, man. 2-time. He's the one that got the 2-time chant at the Ruiz AJ presser. You know what I mean? And he is an undefeated heavyweight. He was a part of the camp, and he's back in the ring January 11th. So salute to my man Timothy Moten. All right. But AJ Klitschko classic, man, because we didn't know what we were really going to have with Anthony Joshua. For that man to get off the canvas, Because when he got off that canvas against Klitschko, he got up, he stood up, he took a deep breath, and that deep breath to me signified, do I really want this? All these people here to watch me. We in Wembley. Do I really want this? Do I really want this? Do I really want to carry this new era of heavyweights, man? And he showed me a lot in that fight. Now I do have a lot of you guys. Yes, I do have criticisms for Anthony Joshua, which I think that are rightfully so because I'm a fan, but also know when to give him his props, man. I have to give him his props for that one because that was a classic. That Klitschko Joshua fight was classic, yo. Classic passing of the torch or passing of the era because the torch was already passed to Fury because he beat Klitschko. Classic fight. All right. Wilder Ortiz won. Classic, man. Classic fight of the era. You know what I mean? Classic fight of this decade, man. Going into the fight, another fight. It's easy to say now, oh, I thought so-and-so was going to win. Yeah, but going into that fight, a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people leaning one way, a lot of people leaning another way. Regardless of what the bet nods say, you can consider that if you want. But I'm talking about conversing with fans. People really didn't know. I was picking Wilder, but I really didn't even know. You dig what I'm saying? Classic fight. Wilder was hurt. Just like the AJ Klitschko fight, man. Wilder, and not to mention with Wilder Fury, go back to that real quick, the 2 knockdowns. I might not get to everything that happened in all these fights, but you guys know. All right, fights like that, self-explanatory. Everybody's seen that fight, okay? But the Wilder Ortiz fight, Wilder getting hurt in the 7th round, Ortiz winning a lot of the rounds, like the second fight. Uh, Almost had Wilder. I literally remember standing up thinking, damn, Wilder about to lose his title. But I was excited for Ortiz, though, because he would have made history being the first Cuban heavyweight champion. You know what I mean? So I'm up. And then Wilder was able to sustain, man. He was able to get through that round, man. Classic round, all right? And then Wilder catches him. He caught him a few times in that fight, dropped him. But the one in the 10th round where he's off the back foot, and people like to say Wilder doesn't have a back foot. Boom! Right hand off the back foot catches Ortiz, man. Stuns him against the ropes. And it was all downhill for there. Downhill from there for Ortiz. Wilder ended up getting him up out of there, okay? Another classic. AJ versus White 2015. Classic. Classic domestic fight, man. At that point, you had 2 UK up-and-comers trying to separate themselves, trying to see who's going to be the leading charge besides Tyson Fury, but who else is going to be the leading charge into that, into, you know, this new era, this new wave of heavyweights. And classic fight, man. White buzzed them. First of all, the build up and the lead up to it, White beating them in the amateurs and all that. Go ahead and show that shirt, man, because they about to get their rematch on, baby. I can't wait for this one. You know what I mean? Part deuce, you know what I mean? But anyways, classic fight, man. 2 heavy-handed punchers. You know, they don't have to go looking for each other. White stunned him in the 2nd round. AJ came back, walking him down, busting him up, sticking his tongue out at him. Classic fight, man. You know what I mean? AJ White was classic 2015. Another classic one. Now some of these are classic just because of just the action of the fight. Now some of these fights are just gonna be good action fights. Okay, so another good action fight was Brazil versus Ugano 2017 on the Wilder versus Washington undercard. Both guys go down. Ugano was looked at as an undefeated prospect coming up, trying to have his coming out party on the champs undercard. Brazil, former title challenger at that time, he only competed for the title once going into that fight against AJ. He ended up getting a 2nd shot against Wilder, fight I'll get to. But Brazil goes down, Ugano goes down. I mean, it was just a slugfest, man. You know what I mean? So that one is another one that I advise you guys to go back and watch, man. 20, that was 27. Okay, now 2015, Wilder versus Stavern. Memorable fight. MGM Grand. MGM Grand hadn't hosted a big heavyweight fight in years. You had Wilder trying to claim his mark. I actually picked Stavern to win this fight because I didn't think Wilder had a back foot game, and I thought Stavern would be able to walk him down with the peekaboo, attack the body. And Wilder in his previous fights, when he goes back, he looks pretty awkward, gangly. Just didn't look like he'll be able to. I didn't think he'll be able to hold it together with the pressure. I thought that Stavern would be able to put up on him, man, and he proved me wrong. You know what I mean? But just the MGM Grand, just the nostalgia of it all, having a big heavyweight fight there, Wilder, Stavern, big heavy-handed punchers. That's another one of the most memorable fights of the decade. All right. Stavern again. Stavern and Areola both fights. Good slugfest, man. Good back and forth action. I actually think Areola was winning the second fight before Stavern caught up to him and got him up out of there. But they had some good fights as well. Stavern versus Areola 2014. And that was a title that they got that was vacated by Vitaly Klitschko. You know what I mean? And their first fight they had uh, was for the silver to fight Vitaly. Then Vitaly ended up vacating. So then Mitchell and Areola got it on. Had Mitchell won that fight, he would have been a championship fight. But Areola got him up out of there in the round, earned his way back to fight Stavern again, and they had a classic second fight. And Stavern ended up picking up the title, man. You know what I mean? Stavern made history, Haitian champion. Those two were memorable fights. I have Areola in here a couple times. And Areola made for some good, entertaining fights, yo. Probably not the best fighter, but he made for some good. I'm going to miss Chris Areola, man. I'm going to miss Chris. Um, Now with Wilder, I did say the Fury fight, the Ortiz fight, but in all honesty, bro, Wilder's KO package, just his KO reel over the last, 5 years, the latter half of the decade, video game like, yo. I have to just give him credit for that, man. The Stavern rematch, Ortiz, the Brazil, the Liakovic, the Spilka. You can go on and on, bro. Classic knockouts, man. I'm talking about highlight reel, one punch. As he's hitting the guy, he's literally spinning back before they even touch the ground and walking off playing to the crowd. Man, come on, man. That's movie like. That's like some shit you see in Rocky, man. Look, you can say it was against, I don't give a damn if it was against Oscar the Grouch, the Pizza Man. Um, I really don't care, man. Just the way he's doing it, uh, just the visual of it, man. It's just classic stuff, man. Just classic. You know what I mean? Just classic. His highlight package is classic. It rivals Mike Tyson's KO package, man, when he was coming up doing his thing. You know what I mean? Vicious, just destruction. So I'm highlighting Wilder's whole KO package, all right? Um, Cross that out, okay? AJ versus Parker, unification fight. Just because we really hadn't had, big unification fights in the decade. So I had to put this one on there, man. And I'm gonna miss a lot of fights, man. So I'm just going over what I think. You know what I mean? But you got to put AJ and Parker in there, man. Unification fight between two undefeated heavyweights. You got to put that in there. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of what you think of the action or how it played out, is just that was one of the bigger fights of the decade. All right. Now I wasn't gonna forget this. I wasn't gonna forget this. Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua fights. The first one, classic. Big upset. Ruiz makes history. Um, and because I brought up Parker, let me go ahead and just say this now. Parker made history coming the first New Zealand heavyweight champion when he beat Ruiz for the vacant WBO title, and then Ruiz made history becoming the first Mexican American or Mexican heavyweight champion of the world when he put the beat down on AJ in that first fight. Okay, AJ ended up regaining his titles later on this year. A few weeks ago when he beat Andrew Ruiz, got his titles back. You know what I mean? But that first fight is classic. Happened in Madison Square Garden, where legends are made, and Ruiz did his thing that night. You understand what I'm saying? So definitely can't forget those two pair of fights, man. To end the decade. You understand what I'm saying? So gotta have that in there, okay? Klitschko versus David Haye in 2011. My big toe, my toe, my toe. Now we know what happened after the fight when Haye was talking about his big toe and all that. But going into that fight, that was going to be a huge fight. A lot of people now, again, it's easy to look back in hindsight and say, we knew Klitschko. No, we didn't know, because back then, in real time, a lot of people were picking David Haye. They thought this was the perfect person to beat Klitschko. He's fast, he's powerful, he's quick, he's agile, he's young, he's hungry, and it didn't play out like that. Klitschko went there and controlled him with the jab. Even made the man take his boot off after the fight in the ring and show us his big toe. And his big toe was pretty fucked up looking, but it's like, bro, that's an excuse. Yes, this is boxing, man. Big toe, your thumb. I mean, anything can happen in a fight, man. But When he took off his shoe to show his big toe, that was pretty crazy. But going into that fight, um, just going into that fight, man, it was a big fight. Just didn't play out Hayes' way. You know what I mean? Just the ring walks, the entrances, the ring entrance for the fight was something to remember and behold. The Klitschko brothers has some cold ring entrances, man. Wilder is picking up the slack with his ring and his whole costumes and everything. We know AJ, when he's out there in the UK, he has fireworks and all types of stuff going on. Fury's trying to get in on the showmanship with his ring entrances, man. So um Hay versus Klitschko is definitely one of the decade, man. Memorable, just going into the fight and the build up around the fight. Okay, Lucas Brown versus Chigaev 2016. The comeback knockout of Chigaev. I actually got this prediction wrong. I thought Chigaev was going to beat Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown comes back, gets him up out of there. That's another one where I would just as far as the action goes, I think it's a good action fight. Okay, Povetkin versus Takam 2014. Another good action fight. Just a good action fight. Probably doesn't um hold huge significance to the decade, but I think it was for like the minor WBC silver title. It was for one of those minor WBC titles, man. And a winner was going to get a shot against Wilder or whoever the WBC champion was at the time, because it's 2014. All right, and 2014 is when they had all the WBC uh, elimination fights going on. All right, but good back and forth. Takam in that fight looked like a watered down James Toney in a good way, because James Toney is James Toney, but he was slipping, rolling, making Povetkin miss, coming back with counters, and it was just a good phone booth fight. Povetkin ended up winning by knockout, but it was a very good fight, man. White versus Chisora 1 and 2. I can't front. Two action-packed fights. I may go back and watch one tonight. That was a good ass fight. Good back and forth action. Both guys didn't have to go looking for each other in the ring. Got to remember those fights, man. A Jagba versus Kiladze just happened. All right. Just the fact that you had a prospect in there that we thought was going to run through a guy. He got dropped in a fight. Good back and forth action. Just a good action fight. And it's fresh in my memory. Just good action fight, okay? Klitschko versus Pulev. Now, people like to say some fans believe that the last great performance by Klitschko was when he was in there with AJ, and I beg to differ. I think his last best. Now, he did put up a good effort in that fight, but I always thought it was the Pulev fight, because he won the fight, and Pulev made him adjust, man, because Pulev was beating him to the jab, in my opinion. He even wobbled Vlad, I think, in the first round with a good jab that buzzed Vlad. And he made Vlad get aggressive, man. And Vlad was leading with left hooks and straight right hands. He made Klitschko come out of his shell and fight that night. And just a good, to me, that's the last time Klitschko was at his best, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because even after the Jennings fight, I said after that Jennings fight, that was early 2015, before he fought Fury, I was saying, man, this version of Vladimir looks kind of haggard, man. He looks kind of, this don't look the same. And then he ended up losing in his very next fight. Okay, so to me, his last great performance was Pulev. The AJ fight was I said it was a classic. I led the video off saying that was a classic. It was a classic. But his last best performance to me was the Pulev fight when he won the fight. All right. Klitschko, again, Eddie Chambers 2010, round 12. Rest in peace to Manuel Stewart. But the reason why this is memorable to me is because through the whole fight, Klitschko could have got Chambers out of there had he wanted to. But this is so memorable to me, man, because Emmanuel Stewart walked in the middle of the ring before the 12th round started. He walked in the middle of the ring and was saying, "Get him out of there." He walked to the middle of the ring. He was chastising Vlad in the corner, man, saying, "Get this motherfucker out of here, man. Get him out of here, Vladimir. Get him out of here." You know what I mean? And Vlad and he would do this with Lennox Lewis sometimes too, man. When Lennox wasn't in there, just get this fucking dude out of here, like the Tyson fight. You got a dead man walking. Get him out of here before he catches you with something. And not that Chambers going to catch him with anything, Klitschko that is. It was just the fact that Emmanuel Stewart knew, like, dude, why are you letting this fucking dude hang around? And when he went in the middle of the ring and kind of, was kind of showing Klitschko up to the crowd, and Klitschko went in there and delivered. Now, he delivered at the literally like the last 5-6 seconds, but he landed believe it was the left hook he landed on Chambers. And man, I'm glad Chambers is okay, man, but he fell face first in the ropes. It was just nasty, yo. That was one of the that was vicious. That was a vicious knockout, man. And Chambers is a good skillful, he was a skillful, smaller heavyweight, you know what I mean? But he suffered a vicious knockout that night. But it was just the way that it happened, and with Emmanuel Stewart involving himself when he had to play psychologist with his fighters, uh, it was just a masterpiece, man, by the great Emmanuel Stewart. Um, Fury Cunningham 2013. Fury comes over here talking all this crazy talk. You know what I mean? A lot of the US fans never heard of him. We go in there with Cunningham, gets dropped hard by a right hand, gets up and starts mauling and brawling and getting Cunningham out of there. Just another good action fight of the decade. Jennings versus Ortiz. Now, again, in hindsight, it's easy to say, I knew Ortiz was going to beat. No, you didn't. Or maybe you did, but a lot of people didn't. I remember making a prediction about this, listening to other people's videos. It was kind of split. People really didn't know who was going to win the fight. All right. Um, Another good, just action fight between two contenders trying to make their way to title shots. Just a good action fight of the decade. Okay. Vitaly Klitschko versus Manuel Char. The reason I got this on there from 2012 because it was Vitaly's last fight. You know what I mean? And he's been champion emeritus for 8 years now. I remember a few months ago he came out and said it was like one of the, I think it was one during one of the WBC conventions. Thought I seen something. Conventions where he was talking about he may come back and use his status to fight Wilder. You know what I mean? But I think he is still champion emeritus. Last I checked, he was still champion emeritus. It's like, geez, do they just give this out and people just hold on to it forever? Like, or if Wilder was to take a hiatus, would they give it to Wilder then? Or how does that even work? I don't even know. But anyways, yeah, I put that because that was Vitaly's last time in the ring, man. And Vitaly, contrary to what other people may think, to me, I have him. If I had to pick 10 heavyweights of all time, and you guys know my three favorite, Ali, Holmes, and Foreman, I would the last time I tried to do an all-time rank is I had Vitaly number 10. I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about just from the eye test, watching guys. If I had to bring 10 heavyweights on board and I need them to fight against 10 other heavyweights, I'm putting Vitaly on there. And I wouldn't have Vlad on there, but I would have Vitaly Klitschko on there. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother video, okay? Uh 2012, Chisora versus Hay. The build up, you guys remember the build up, man. They needed the cages. He glassed me, and all this. And man, I'm surprised they made it to the ring. And what's crazy is Hay is promoting Chisora now, giving him advice, and they're cool now. But just the build up to that was crazy, man. That was just a crazy build up. Also, going back to the build up, and let me touch on with Fury Klitschko, the build up to that as well, with the whole, Klitschko allegedly putting things in his shoes and make him seem as tall as Fury. He went and dyed his hair after Fury said you're an old man and talked about his gray hairs. Fury showing up to the presser as dressed up as Batman. Then he chased down somebody dressed up like the Joker, I believe. It was just crazy, man. You know what I mean? The build up to that was crazy. Also, the build up to White versus Chisora, or yeah, White versus Chisora. Chisora was crazy as well. Chisora throwing a damn table. It was crazy, man. Chisora was involved in a lot of crazy build-ups. Then Hay ended up going in there and knocking Chisora out. Crazy. You know what I mean? Another one is recent in my head with Areola. 2019 Kanaki fight. Good action. Just a good action-packed fight, y'all. Adamak versus Areola 2010. Another good action-packed fight. I picked Areola to beat Adamak, man, but Adamak Areola had his spots in that fight where he was catching Adamak with some good shots. I remember this fight was on HBO. I couldn't believe he couldn't get the smaller man out of there, man. But Adamak was putting combinations on him, moving, holding on when he had to, holding on when he was hurt. Good action-packed fight. David Price, 2 fights against Tony Thompson. Now, Price was, I think, ESPN Fighter of the Year. I think Dan Rafael, not Fighter of the Year, but a Prospect of the Year. I'm sorry. 2013, he fought Tony Thompson in 2 fights, got stopped in both of them. You know what I mean? Those are memorable because he was the one that was getting looked at the way AJ and Fury and all those guys were getting looked at. He was the one being looked at as the next prize UK heavyweight to hit the scene, and he's going to be the one to win a world title, so on and so forth. And we know what happened with David Price, man. But next couple fights, another one that was just good action-packed fight. It was actually it was just between two Canadian heavyweights, man. Dylan Carmen versus Mladen Milos happened in 2017. Dylan Carmen's the guy that beat Razor Ruddock when Ruddock came back at like 51 years old, knocked him out. It was a fight where it involved a double knockdown, just good action packed back and forth brawling. You know what I mean? So just one of those under the radar fights, okay? Talked about speaking of Adamak, his fight with Eric Molina. Now this is what got Molina his shot when he fought Wilder, or not Wilder, but when he fought AJ. He ended up beating Adamak for a minor IBF title that catapulted him up into getting a shot for the IBF. All right. He had to come back in the fight, landed a huge right hand. And going into that fight in 2016, I made a prediction video that Molina. All right, we fell off, but we back. Molina, that's known for his left hook, would have to bring a big right hand because I thought that uh, Adamak was susceptible to getting hit with right hands, and he won the fight with a big right hand. Just another action-packed fight, a comeback. Another under the radar brawl that I like was George Arias, the undefeated prospect right now, taking on Mario Heredia in 2017. Just an action-packed fight. You see a kind of like what happened with F.A. Jag, but where you see an up-and-coming undefeated prospect hit the canvas, have to come back and win the fight. Okay. Parker versus Ruiz, I went over that. Parker making history with the new becoming the New Zealand heavyweight champion. Ariola versus Curtis Harper. Yes, that Curtis Harper that walked out the ring against F.A. Jack. But if you guys go watch, and I know I've mentioned Ariola a grip of times, man, but he was just Konaki is kind of taking the place of Ariola, in my opinion, going into this new era. Um, just every time he's in there, he's bleeding, he's bloody, he's coming forward fighting. And Ariola versus Curtis Harper, they were both out of shape, but it was a wild, entertaining slugfest, man. Happened in 2015. All right. Spilka versus Mike Malo, their first fight in 2013. I believe this one was on ESPN, Friday Night Fights. I think it was the main event. And Spilka had some little dust ups, man, because he had a second fight with Malo, and his fight with Jennings that was on HBO was a little scrap too. But the first Spilka Malo fight, I was not expecting it to go like that, watching it, but it was a very good, entertaining fight, especially for ESPN. You know what I mean? Um, and I'm gonna end it with this one: Michael Hunter versus Martin Bakole Alunga. Bakole has actually had some good, impressive victories since the Hunter loss, but he's still somebody that's viable, that's going to be a threat, up and coming contender going into this new era, this new decade rather. But him and Michael Hunter had a slugfest in, this past year. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it, man. I knew I skipped over probably a lot of fights, man, but I can't talk about 500, 200 fights on here, man. But those are the ones that just stick out to me. Probably some other ones I could have added, and I'm thinking now is probably the Povetkin versus Chagayev fight. Um, and there's a lot of other fights, man. Like I know people would say, "What about AJ Povetkin?" Well, I'm just talking about the ones that like just super stuck out to me, and those are the ones. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go over what you guys have to talk about real quick, man. And I'm gonna jump off here, go get me a bite to eat up in here, man. Say what's up to family, man. Let me see. My man CB Sports TV up in this thing was good. Lewis Hidden, Robert Stewart. Let me see. Yeah, okay, D-Star, you remember that. He says Mr. Boxing want to bet uh versus me and Hay versus Bellew too. Hey bro, I remember before I get to y'all, I remember I made a video about Bellew versus Hay, right? And it's still up. And I was like, look, man, I'm picking Hay to win this fight, but he might win by decision because Bellew, I just went on the whole thing about how Bellew was gonna give Hay a run for his money in the first fight. Now he didn't win the fight. But man, for that prediction, people were killing me from the UK. You obviously don't know boxing. David Hay, all this power that David Hay has, and when he touches it, if anybody knows anything, when you hit Bellew, he goes down and blah, blah, blah. Man, Bellew went in there and whooped his ass. You know what I mean? Let me see. Okay. Man, you know what, bro? What's up to Trick Nolte as well. But man, you know what, man? Uh Deontay Wilder's like a fan, even for the people that claim they hate Wilder. He's like their fan. He's like their favorite, man. Because you can't have a live that I can do that come up talking about somebody will bring up Deontay Wilder. Andrew Charles was good for BC. I'm gonna say what's up to y'all, man. I'm hungry as hell, y'all. My man J Dill or John Aristotle, what's good, J Dill. That's another one. Yeah, that's another one. John Huck versus Povetkin. That's another good one. Yeah, VVS won loose stones. Wilder's the best heavyweight, arguably. But you can, if somebody says he's the best, I can't argue that right now. I want to see some of these other fights happen with him and AJ and the rematch with Fury, so on and so forth. But if you have him number one right now, shit, I can't argue that, man. You know what I mean? But hey, when it's the best guy out there, people are they want to talk about the best, even if they don't think he's in their eyes the best, but they talking for a reason. You know what I mean? But hey, y'all, I appreciate the crowd, man. I just wanted to give my recollection of what happened the prior decade, man. Looking forward to some big fights. Fury Wilder 2 is going to kick us off, right? A proper way to kick us off between two undefeated heavyweights that have that fought, December 2018. Um, but we still looking for AJ Wilder. We still looking for the other big fights, okay? Um, Dillian White, shit, you could still put Charles Martin in there, Brazil, Jarrell Miller, and then that's just those guys that are still around. But then you got the up and coming guys like the Daniel Dubois, the Efe Ajagbas, the Ivan Daichkos, um, Vlad Sarenkos, Martin Bacolia Lungas. Uh, I mean, the list just go on and on. I could sit here and name about 50 prospects: Jermaine Franklin, Tony Yoka, Philippe Herkovic. The list goes on and on, man. So I can't wait for like another year or two where those guys pick it up, and then we can start meshing the up and coming prospect contenderish guys with the so-called top 10 and the title holders and this new bro. If y'all think the latter half of this decade was something, wait until you see what this new and just wait till you see what this first half of this decade is going to bring us. It's going to be explosive, man. It's going to be explosive, y'all. um Appreciate that $5 holla from my man, the Cali Enigma Sports and ENT. He says, Merry Christmas, Heavyweight King, LDBC. Salute, no doubt, man. Salute to my man, Curtis Anderson, up in this thing. Um, Vinyl Pugilist says, Joyce versus Huck off now. Hopefully we see Joyce versus Dubois in April. Yeah, man, Huck broke his hand. I actually did a video about that the other day, Pugilist. He broke his hand, man, in camp. They thought it was going to be just a like a tear or something. They thought it was something minor, but it was something major, and he broke his hand. And they're saying that it's a minimum of 4 weeks for him just to get back in the gym and train, let alone fight. Leo Dono, salute to you, Lee. Salute to Scrapbook Boxing. Go subscribe to Scrapbook Boxing. I mean, it's an understatement for me to say he's a historian. Just go check him out, man. Um, Leo Donald, salute to you, bro. You was always, always sending me links, always giving me links to underground fights and fighters. So salute to you, man. God of War up in here for BC up in here. Um, but yeah, man, this division has came a long way from when I first started, man. So I've been on here about 10, 11 years talking about heavyweights, bro. And for it just came full circle, right? It just came full circle because when I was first doing videos, nobody was coming to check out the Povetkin versus Mariusz Wach recap. Nobody was coming to check out Vitaly Klitschko versus Solis recap. You dig what I'm saying? Nobody really even cared about Areola Stavern 1. You know what I mean? I can go on and on. You know what I mean? Nobody was coming to check out my Areola versus Adamak breaking out. Nobody cared about that. You know what I mean? But now it's coming full circle to where heavyweight is king now. You know what I mean? It's the most talked about. Yes, we have like Errol Spence and Crawford and those topics, but really, it's the heavyweights, man. It's the heavyweights, and I'm glad that it's getting the attention that it rightfully should get. And it's because of the new cast of characters. It's because of the personalities. It's because of the highlight reel KOs. It's because of the rivalry between the USA and the UK. It's coming full circle now. You know what I mean? So I can't wait for this. In with me, with decades, there's always a first half of the decade and then the second half of the decade. The reason I say that is because look at the 80s, right? Like the first half of that decade was like Larry Holmes, Greg Page, Michael Dokes, those guys, right? And then the latter half was the Mike Tyson era. You dig what I'm saying? Um, the 2010s, right? The first half of that era, the first half of the decade was Klitschko brothers. The next half was Wilder, AJ, Fury. You dig what I'm saying? So I can't wait for this. The first 5 years of this is gonna tell a lot. We're gonna see if AJ, Wilder, and Fury will hold up going into that uh, last 5 years of the decade. All right. So this first 5 years is going to be interesting, man. Um, Salute, respect to all y'all. Ancestral Rage was good. Legendary Top Cats up in this thing. Go subscribe to my man, Legendary Top Cats. I appreciate all y'all showing up, man. Till next time, I'll be back. Y'all go check out my man D Styles um his yearly awards. And I'm gonna do what I can in 2020, man, so I can be a two-time D Style Channel of the Year because I won it in 2017. But shouts out to Black Fight Fan TV, Trill Boxing Talk for winning Channel of the Year on D Styles channel. But go check out D Styles yearly awards, man. Very entertaining show. All right. Until next time, I'm gone. Y'all be good.